All right, welcome to my survival video. Originally, I had submitted a Word document explaining what I was trying to say for the assignment, but I was in the airport and I kind of did it a little quick, so I'm creating a video, basically explaining and going into a little bit more depth about what's going on and how we're dealing with the zombies right now, and specifically wanting to expand on the critical race theory and its correlation with the zombies that we've been dealing with for the past couple weeks. Okay, so I want to begin with my theory. All right, critical race theory is a theory that examines the appearance of race and racism across dominant cultural forms of expression. So what I'm trying to say is right now, the zombies that we're dealing with have a specific agenda, right? And with the critical race theory, it addresses that there's a dominant group, okay, a dominant race that is trying to achieve something, a form of dominance, okay, through a series of actions or implementations, right? When applying this approach, scholars attempt to understand how victims of systematic racism are affected by cultural perceptions of race and how they are able to represent themselves to counter prejudices. So let's go on to what the zombies are after. Right now, it is unknown what the zombies are after, similar to the movies we have watched. You can't necessarily address what the zombies are after because a lot of times there isn't really a specific agenda for the zombies. And what I mean by this is you can't look at the apocalypse right now and say, okay, they're after this, this, and this. Here's what we have to do, right? The inconsistencies, the randomness of the zombies, what they're trying to do isn't necessarily specific for us to say, here's what's going on, right? There are tendencies that they have that allow us to theorize what they are after, similar to the people. The only reason we're able to do this is because we can look at some of their actions and say, okay, well, here's what they could be after, right? The zombies are particularly after the weak links of groups. Similar to what was stated in the readings Vacationing in Zombieland, the classical functions of the modern zombie. Not only are they after the weak links of the group, as I like to call them, but they're also destroying a large majority of infrastructure, and many of the survivors are beginning to join each other due to the lack of shelter. Right. So if we're in the neighborhood right now. The bigger the house, the more likely the zombie is to attack it. Now, I'm not saying the zombies have an intellect of their own, and saying that okay, they're smart enough to see they're smart enough to see a big house. Okay, there's more survivors there. No, this is just one of the tendencies that we have come to notice. Okay. Furthermore, this is one of the trends we've noticed. Like I said, the bigger the building, the more likely it was to be attacked. Reasoning behind that could be there could be more people in it, and like I said, we don't know for sure, but bigger shelter, more people. It's kind of simple logic. Maybe they have common sense. Maybe they didn't lose all their brain cells when they became zombies. Throughout our journey, we've noticed a trend of only the toughest surviving. This can only be a comparison to life in general, reminding us to be strong-minded. Let me say that again. Throughout our journey, we have noticed a trend of only the toughest surviving. Okay, this can only be a comparison to life in general, reminding us to be strong-minded and not allowing society to break us. Okay, so in a normal functioning society, you want to be strong-minded and not allow the social influences to kind of form you and mold you into into the average civilian in society. And I only say that because if everybody was the same and conform to the societies that we live in, there wouldn't be uniqueness, there wouldn't be creativity, and there wouldn't be those outliers that we depend on for people to kind of learn from and kind of adapt to move forward. The threat that we're dealing with, the zombies are a threat of their own, but their agenda seems to prey on weak groups and often seems to be the elderly, right? And not just the elderly, but pregnant women, children. And I don't want to say that the elderly are consistently weak links in groups, right? And I don't want to say that pregnant women are weak links as well. But when considering their abilities, right, and or I want to say their hindered abilities, okay, to run away, to fight, to more so be, it's kind of like when there's a war. I can only compare this to my dad was telling me when he was in Lebanon and the Israelis invaded in the 80s, that in the 70s and 80s, that they more so arrested people that were able to fight, specifically men ranging from the ages of 17 to 30, right? And that's one of the reasons he was targeted by them, because he was a man that fit that kind of description, and was, and that's the only reason they wanted him. Going back to the zombies, they're not after the people that, not necessarily that they're not after, but they are unable to catch people in that age group, specifically because the intellect of survival for them, they're considered to be in their prime. Okay, now when considering the rhetoric and how we're dealing with the threat, the critical race theory represents many of the social injustices going on today, right? Through economic sanctions, systematic oppression, and racist agendas, minority groups are put in positions in society where it is extremely difficult to succeed. In an urban manner, one might consider minority groups to be playing catch-up with the dominant race, and that is what we know the dominant race as white folk, or the white race. It is important to understand that when a society preys on those who are less fortunate economically, and in the zombies' case, physically, right? There are long-term effects in those particular races and groups, similar to the zombies, because how we see this correlation of a dominant race trying to oppress those less fortunate economically. We're looking at the zombies attacking those less physical, attacking those groups who are less physical, and are more likely to, or are more likely basically to die under zombie attack. Okay, so when considering the longevity of this, all right, if a zombie consistently attacked women, pregnant women, children, and the elderly, well, we're gonna live in a society where, it's really more men, more dominant like character traits and personalities. Now, this could be a good thing, but in a normal functioning society, you want that mix, and you want people to be able to, learn from each other, and not only learn from each other, but you want that uniqueness in society. And the zombies are after, like I said, those kind of groups. All right. So to move forward with these zombies, we don't want them to keep preying on our weak links. So we have to create some sort of plan where we're protecting them and also kind of baiting them in, right? Because we want to eradicate the apocalypse. We want to create. We want to start functioning normally again. So how we do that is we start baiting them, we start trapping them, but we also start getting along, and basically putting away our differences, so we can basically be on the same page and eradicate the one enemy that everyone is after, and that is the zombies.